Okay, so I want you to forget everything you remember about language class. You know, the dusty textbooks, the boring drills. We're about to dive into something completely different. A really radical new way to teach languages in primary schools that turns the whole thing into an incredible adventure. And it all starts with the very first words these kids hear.
And get this is literally the first thing students hear. So, right from the start, it's not a class. No, it's an expedition. This greeting is straight from the program materials, and it just perfectly captures that fun, adventurous spirit that drives this entire thing.
Okay, so if it's an adventure, there has to be a quest, right? So, what are these little explorers actually trying to do? Well, their goal is to complete what's called the Super Communicator Mission.
A super communicator? What does that even mean? Well, it's not just about memorizing a list of words. Not at all. It's about becoming a really functional, confident speaker. Someone who can actually, understand what people are saying, share their own ideas, have a real conversation, and even help their friends understand each other. We're talking about real-world skills here.
So, this big idea, it gets broken down into four core skills. You've got the basics, of course. Understand by listening and reading, and speak and write to get your own ideas out there. But then it gets really interesting. It moves on to chat, having actual conversations. And then there's this one, mediate, which I think is so cool. It teaches kids to be idea translators for their friends. What an amazing collaborative skill to learn at that age. All right, so how on earth do you build these four huge skills? Well, it's not with boring traditional lessons, that's for sure. Instead, the whole school year is basically a series of super creative, project-based monthly challenges, and they call them secret missions. How cool is that? And just listen to how creative these missions are. In October, they're making a character named Mathsy from Geometric Shapes. Then in December, they're figuring out how to have a totally sustainable, planet-friendly Christmas. Fast forward to February, and they're holding a carnival with recycled costumes and playing video riddles with kids from other schools. And by May, get this, they're producing a whole radio program about their local Canary Islands. Every single month is a brand new hands-on adventure. Okay, so these missions sound like a ton of fun, right? But underneath all that fun, there's a really serious educational methodology. So what's the magic that makes it all work? Well, it's all built on a super powerful combo of play and technology. The whole philosophy is basically a complete shift. So instead of that old school rote memorization, learning happens through playing and creating. Instead of working all by yourself, the focus is all on teamwork. Textbooks? Nope, they're replaced by tech. And learning just one subject at a time? Nah, it's all about connecting knowledge from all different areas. So what's the actual secret sauce here? How do they pull this off? It really comes down to four key steps. First, it all starts with play. We're talking songs, theater, art, the whole deal. And that play happens in teams, like a little squad of superheroes. Then they use technology to bring all their cool creations to life, and they do it safely. And finally, and this is a big one, they're taught to use their superpowers, which means using what they already know in one language to help them learn another one way faster. And the tools they use for this adventure are just fantastic. They're using platforms like Minecraft, but not just for gaming. They use it as this amazing collaborative space to build and create together. And then, through something called e-twinning, they connect with classrooms in totally different countries. So suddenly, language practice isn't a drill. It's a real, meaningful conversation with new friends from all over the world. So yeah, it's pretty clear this is a fun way to learn a language, but the benefits here go so much deeper. We're not just talking about picking up a new skill. This method is really about shaping how these kids think and how they interact with the entire world. And the outcomes for the students are honestly profound. I mean, they're making friends with kids in other countries, they're developing creativity and empathy, they're genuinely getting ready for a globalized future. They're not just learning about other cultures from a book, they're learning to respect and understand them by actually talking to people. And on top of all that, at a brain level, they are literally making their brains stronger. There's this quote from the program materials that I just love. It really gets to the heart of the science behind all this. Immersing yourself in a new language, especially when you're doing it in this active, problem-solving way, it's like a powerful workout for your brain. You're building new neural pathways, you're boosting your cognitive flexibility, you're basically making your brain stronger and smarter. So when you step back and look at the whole picture, the missions, the way they teach, all those benefits, It stops looking like just a cool language plan. It really starts to look like a potential blueprint for what education in the 21st century could and maybe should be.
Because the core idea here is actually really simple, but it's totally transformative. Learning shouldn't be some passive subject you just have to sit through and endure. It should be an active adventure that you get to go on, a journey you take with others, full of discovery, creativity, and connection.
And that leaves us with a really big question, doesn't it? What if this wasn't just for language class? I mean, what if science and math and history were also taught like this, as a series of huge adventures and collaborative missions? You have to wonder, is this the future of how we teach our kids?